Productions, baby.
In this episode of Travelers in Paradise, we look for treasure on Norman Island, we learn the difference between Buccaneers and Barbecue, and we get a tour of Kelly's Cove by a local.
Come put some oil in that, come put some grease in that. Rusty waste you got. Come put some oil in that, come put some grease in that. Rusty waste you got. The way you wind it, the way you
Hi, I'm Karl.
Look at them apples, huh?
I'm Penny. I guess a yellow feather is good for catching barracuda, and that's it.
And I'm Lacey.
Knowing how isn't my job. I just drive the boat.
We're just three very ordinary people
On an extraordinary adventure.
Come join our family as we travel the world by sailboat, exploring exotic locations, and become one of the Travelers in Paradise.
Can you handle it? Can you handle it? Can you handle it? Can you handle it?
In August of 1750, a Spanish galleon loaded with treasure, rumored to be 55 chests of silver among other valuables, is seeking shelter from a storm off the North Carolina coast. In that time, her crew mutinies and takes the treasure and loads it onto two smaller vessels. The first vessel is lost at sea, but the captain of the second takes it to Norman Island, where he buries the treasure. The captain and crew were later arrested on an island in the Netherland Antilles, but not before word of the treasure got out. Gilbert Fleming, the Lieutenant General of the Leeward Islands, and a group of residents from Tortola found and dug up the treasure on Norman Island. They later convinced the Lieutenant General of the BVI to give him and those who had found it a third of the treasure as a reward. There is a rumor that a local fisherman fishing near Norman Island was caught in a storm and sought shelter from the storm in one of the caves. That night, the storm surge raised the water level in the cave several feet, and his boat was repeatedly smashed against the wall of the caves. The next morning, he discovered that a lot of rubble had fallen into his boat, including a chest laden with gold. To this day, there is still a rumor that there is still more treasure on Norman Island just waiting to be found. Conveniently located right around the corner from Pirates Bight is the world-famous snorkeling site, The Caves. As you can see from all the mooring balls out front, this is a national park site. So we're going to pull up on our chartered sailboat, Sea of Love, and grab one of the mooring balls closest to the caves for an easy snorkel in. I'm now going to demonstrate for you guys my favorite way to pick up a mooring ball.
Thinking about you and me, somewhere on a nice warm beach, a place where we'd be out of reach, thinking about love.com.
Okay.
Yeah, love.
And that's how you pick up a mooring ball.
It's a tropical place where there's no one around.
Even though it's possible to just swim into the caves, we recommend that you take a mask, snorkel, and fins, and a waterproof light. The caves are quite large and have lots of nooks and crannies to explore.
The first cave here is really cool. There's some bats way back up in the crevices, and without your dive lights, it'll be hard to see.
As you swim out, don't forget to keep your eyes open, as there's lots of interesting things to see, like these glassy sweepers.
Surprising how many fish there were inside the cave in the dark. These glassy sleepers seem to like it that way. And as we're exiting this particular cave, we swam into a big bait ball of little minnows.
Even though there isn't a lot of coral, and this isn't known as a prime snorkeling site, it's important to keep an eye out on the bottom because you never know what you're going to see. As we were snorkeling out, we saw this awesome southern stingray that was rooting through the bottom, hunting for mussels and clams. One of the impressive things about the caves as you're snorkeling from cave to cave is the massive boulders that are on the bottom. And if you just keep your eyes open and keep looking, you're going to see all sorts of interesting fish. As you enter the last cave, it really doesn't look like much from the outside. It looks kind of small, but the last cave is one of the largest and one of the more interesting ones. There's all sorts of nooks and crannies in this cave, but as you turn around, that's where the real treat of the cave is. There's a second opening out onto this little beach.
I think it's really cool how all the tree roots and bush roots are hanging down here on the outside. You know, these trees and bushes have no dirt at all to grow on, and they just hang their roots over the rock, and that provides them with all the nutrients they need to survive. Really a cool cave, and I like the second entrance out onto the beach.
Stay tuned, we're going to meet up with Thomas from Pirate's Bite and learn about Buccaneers and Barbecue. Travelers in Paradise is brought to you by
Equinox, because the only thing that should get wet is you. Sea of Love, Captain BVI Yacht Charter.
Stay tuned. Travelers in Paradise will be right back. Welcome back to Travelers in Paradise.
Pirate's Bite is one of the most beautiful beach bars and restaurants in the Caribbean, and it's nestled here at the point of the Bite on Norman Island. When we're sailing in the British Virgin Islands, my favorite first stop is the Pirate's Bite on Norman Island. This is a great little beach bar and restaurant that really maintains the pirate history. 5 o'clock every night, they have the cannon firing, signaling happy hour. They also have a nice little museum showing some of the pirate artifacts that were found on the island. Thomas is going to tell us all about how they keep the pirate spirit alive by still cooking their barbecue in the same traditional fashion.
Barbecue here is it's a very popular style of cooking in the British Virgin Islands, and there's a couple of different reasons why. One is that it's pretty easy to do on a beach. It's a very people-friendly approach to food, because you get around an open fire on the beach and cook some food and have some drinks and have a good time. But historically, it's based on a French style of cooking that's related to piracy and how the name for pirates came about. There's a style of cooking in the French culinary practice, which is called boucanier. Just you take a big joint of meat, usually beef, and you roll it in herbs and spices, and then you cover it down in sugar and rum, and you roast that over an open fire, which when you think about it, herbs, spices, sugar, and rum, that is barbecue sauce. And so the pirates that lived in this area preferred that style of cooking their food. In fact, the place that they would stop off to get their beef is Beef Island, where our airport is located. And they would stop off and steal a cow, cut it up, roll it in spices and sugar, and roast it up on a beach. And so the French referred to their pirates according to the style of food, which is boucanier. And so the French term for a pirate is a buccaneer. And that's entered the English lexicon for pirates. That's how barbecue came to be in the British Virgin Islands. What we do actually is we go around in our little van, like I just carried you guys in, and we collect wild wood off the hillsides. We look for driftwood on the beaches. We bring it down behind the restaurant. We start up a fire, and we make a, I guess you could call it kind of like a basting liquid. Herbs and spices, we put some rum in the water, and we poach off the ribs in that. Okay, and then take them out and grill them over an open fire, soak them down in our own signature barbecue sauce, and it's easily our most popular dish on the menu.
A Taste of the Caribbean, brought to you by Sunny Caribbee Spices. Hi folks, Karl here with Travelers in Paradise, doing our very first cooking episode. This is really cool. So when we were down in the British Virgin Islands, we found a company called Sunny Caribbee, and they make these spice blends. They take super fresh spices from the Caribbean, they add to that sea salt that's harvested there in the British Virgin Islands, and they mix it together and they make these wonderful spice blends. Now the sea salt down there is really special. They make it the old-fashioned way. They have salt ponds, where they flood the salt ponds full of water, they let the sun do its job and bake all the water off, so all you're left with is the salt. Then they go in and harvest it, and they use that salt to make their blends. Now today we're going to be doing a couple things on the grill, bringing a little bit of that pirate history, that barbecue pirate history, into your own home kitchen. So I'm going to show you how to use some of these Caribbean spices today. One of the things we're doing, Brussels sprouts. We're going to take the Sunny Caribbee seasoned sea salt, and we're gonna do Brussels sprouts on the grill. So let me get started. First thing you wanna do, and I've got a bunch of them prepped already, take your Brussels sprout, remove the end, kind of peel off some of the leaves, off the edge, and then simply just put it in half. That simple, into the bowl. See, I've got these all set and ready to go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of EVOO, just a little bit in there, and then we're gonna simply toss them. Just that simple. You wanna toss them all so you get a good coating on them. Then we go with the Sunny Caribbee seasoned sea salt, and we give a little seasoning to all of them. Simply go ahead, give it a good toss, and that's it. She's ready to go on the grill. And these are just awesome, folks. When you cook them on the grill, the Brussels sprouts really sweeten up, the sugars come out in them. They make just an awesome side dish. And now we're gonna do chicken. Nothing says the Caribbean like jerk spice. So we're just gonna give the chicken a real light coating of the jerk spice before we put them on the grill. Well, hey Paku, how are you today? Paku is our dog. That's who you probably heard barking just a little bit ago. She's chasing off all the woolly boogers out there in the woods, making sure nobody comes and attacks us. Right now, I think she wants to get up here and eat our chicken. So I give it a good liberal coating on one side, and then I want to turn it over so we make sure we get the bottom side of everything. Now, jerk is just a classic Caribbean spice. It is a blend of spices that can be found all over the Caribbean, and best known, I guess, really for Jamaica. But it makes for just a wonderful blend, and it is awesome on chicken. Okay, now we'll let those sit for an hour or so in the chill chest, and those will be ready to go on the grill.
Stay tuned as Karl pays homage to the Buccaneers style of cooking. Travelers in Paradise will be right back.
The cast and crew at Travelers in Paradise would like to invite you to join us on our next adventure. Sign up for our next On the Set scuba diving vacation. Become part of the crew as we tape episodes for Travelers in Paradise. This unique vacation experience allows you to get a behind-the-scenes look at what a real television production is all about. Join in our dives, tours, and travels as one of our crew, or just tag along for the fun. Check out our website and join us for our next On the Set scuba diving vacation.
Welcome back to Travelers in Paradise. Karl's got the grill all ready to go.
Just ready for the Brussels sprouts so I can put them in the grill. This is a little rack. You can probably buy them at most of your Mega Marts or whatever. And I just like to use a little spray, a little non-stick on it, and get it lubed up. Now start that in there so it can start getting warm. Now we're gonna go ahead and get the chicken on the grill first. So let's go ahead and get that started. Now the thighs are just about as meaty as the breast, so they should cook about the same amount of time. But what you really need to do with charcoal is you really got to watch your grill, because there'll be hot spots and there'll be cold spots. And if you know your grill, you'll know where to place your food to work kind of around that. That jerk spice is just, I mean, it's, you know, it really brings me right back down to the Caribbean. I mean, there we are sitting there on the beach listening to them cook the ribs or something that we did down there in the Caribbean. It really brings that home. So here you are at home. I mean, I'm back here in Montana. You can see the mountains in the background. We're cooking here in the backyard in Montana. And I'm gonna have the same meal that I would have had down there in the Caribbean, thanks to Sunny Caribbee and their fresh spices. So that's getting good and hot. Let me close that down, put a little heat to it. Okay, well, we got the grill up to 350 now. So let's just take a quick sneak peek. Oh, all right, no flamage, which is what I wanted. But you notice all that smoke? You know, it took me years to get this grill. I know it looks like an old rusty grill, but it took me years to get this grill where it's really seasoned perfectly, where we really get just some wonderful flavor out of it. And that's been a combination of years of different types of cooking in there. Chicken and ribs and steaks and lobsters and shrimp and all kinds of stuff that we've cooked over the years, different seasonings and barbecue sauces and what have you. But the combination of all that and good quality charcoal, you know, we've used hickory and we've used mesquite and applewood and all kinds of charcoals in there. And we've really got this nice seasoned grill now. Well, this is the one thing that was kind of unique. When we were down in the British Virgin Islands, and I think you'll see in a couple of our episodes, you know, we showed Clarence down at CNS doing his ribs, And then the Pirate's Bite, we did some ribs over Pirate's Bite, and we showed that. The one thing we cannot duplicate here in the country, in the United States, is we can't duplicate the charcoal or the wood that they use, and that, or the seasoning in their grill, and that imparts a flavor we simply can't duplicate. But fortunately, with Sunny Caribbee spices, we can at least have the right seasonings on our meat and make it as close to it as possible. Okay, we're just about ready to turn that chicken. Let me grab my tongs. Now what I'm going to do to turn the chicken is I am going to open this up a little bit, because otherwise there'll be so much smoke you won't even be able to see where the chicken is. There we go. Oh yeah, just perfect. Look at that on the grill. That jerk seasoning gives it a flavor you just cannot believe, folks. It is just an absolute wonderful flavor. You know, it reminds me of Jamaica in the West Indies there. It has a very unique flavor to it. Oh man, that jerk seasoning is so awesome. And you see the pan for my Brussels sprouts is just perfectly hot now, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the Brussels sprouts to the grill. See that, you know, that kind of caramelization that they get is just what you're looking for. It really brings out the sweetness in those Brussels sprouts. We'll just see how well the chicken is done. Oh, perfect. Brussels sprouts off the grill. Pull it up so I don't burn my hand. Oh man, look at those. Isn't that just perfect? And we'll get some of these beautiful Brussels sprouts cooked with that wonderful sea salt from the Caribbean. Well, here we go. A little bit of that jerk seasoning on. I'm telling you, folks, this is awesome. Don't ever trust a skinny chef, because this is the way barbecue was meant to be. Do this yourself. Get our spice blends from Sunny Caribbee. You can order them on our website at travelersinparadise.com. You can make steak, you can make pork, you can make lobster, shrimp, obviously some chicken. Get some of our spices and have yourself a Caribbean evening. Thanks, folks.
Next, we get a guided tour of Kelly's Cove from a Northern Ireland local. Travelers in Paradise will be right back.
Whether you are a novice or advanced diver, Blue Water Divers has been teaching people to scuba dive and leading dive trips in the British Virgin Islands for over 30 years. Some of the top dive spots in the BVI are the world-famous wreck of the mail ship Rome, the Indians with their amazing rock formations, and the colorful Rainbow Caverns just off of Pelican Island. All of these are just a quick boat ride away from our two convenient locations. Contact Blue Water Divers today and plan your next scuba vacation. Do you like to vacation at waterfront resorts? Do you like to swim? Want to look out at the water and see all the pretty sailboats? Well, stop looking and start doing. On Sea of Love, you are the view. Let this gorgeous sailing catamaran be the place you stay on your next vacation. Jump right off the decks and into pristine, crystal clear, 82-degree water chock full of pretty fishes and places to explore. Make Sea of Love your next vacation choice.
Welcome back to Travelers in Paradise.
Kelly's Cove isn't a regular commercial dive site. When we first dropped in, the first thing we noticed was the massive sponges and other filter feeders. As we started exploring, we noticed that there was these beautiful black and yellow rock beauties, and in this episode they've served as our tour guides to show us all the cool things there are to see. So if we just pay attention to them, they're going to show us all of the really neat things. Rock beauties are found only in the tropical Western Atlantic Ocean. They are the smallest member of the angelfish family and very distinctive with their black bodies and bright yellow head and tail. Both adults and juveniles are highly territorial. Juveniles are almost completely yellow with a small black dot below the dorsal fin, which grows bigger as they get older. They feed mainly on sponges, but are also known to eat tunicates and algae. By following our tour guide Rocky, we found this really awesome underwater palm tree looking sponge. We think it's an encrusting sponge on a Gorgonian skeleton. A truly fascinating specimen. What do you think? If you know what it is, contact us at travelersinparadise.com. I want to point out to you guys the amount of life there is here. Compare this to the amount of life we saw over at the caves, which is just about a half a mile to the west of here. They're the same ocean and very close to each other. You would think that they would be identical, but they're not. Rocky, our tour guide, says that it's time to move along, but we can't follow him into his hole here. So we looked up above his home and we saw this river of brown and blue chromis. Here's another coral similar to the palm tree, but not nearly as impressive. This river of brown and blue chromis just kept going on and on and on, so we decided to follow it and see what we could find.
As we follow the river of chromis over the hill, we have a special encounter with a favorite reef inhabitant, the Hawksbill turtle. I have one of the coolest special encounters with him as we swim alongside as dive buddies. Sadly, the Hawksbill turtle are critically endangered. They have very long lives, take 30 years to sexually mature, and have slow reproductive rates. Previously, these turtles were harvested for their meat and shells. The meat is considered a delicacy, and their shells have been used as decorations in many different cultures. Heavy hunting of the Hawksbill turtle has led to a sharp decline in the numbers of these turtles worldwide, and cast an uncertainty over their future. They were declared endangered in 1982 and upgraded to critically endangered in 1996. Hawksbill turtles are solitary and only meet up to mate. Females typically lay 140 eggs. These eggs hatch at night, with the hatchlings making their way back to the ocean, drawn to it by the reflection of the moon on the water. Hatchlings are in danger of being confused by light sources such as street lamps, thus inhibiting them from making it to the ocean. Those that do not make it back into the water by daybreak will be eaten by predators. Here in the Virgin Islands, nests are also raided by marauding mongooses and other predators. What an honor and pleasure it was just to be able to swim alongside with him in the reef. How cool to be able to share this dive with such a beautiful turtle.